What is going on, guys? Nathan here with a League of Legends gameplay commentary, here to just kind of discuss my new favorite champion, Nami. For those of you who don't know, I'm actually a main support League player. I just like supporting. It's kind of what I do because it takes away some of the competitive edge of League, just makes the game a little bit more fun. Plus, you are able to control a lot of the team fights late game by initiating, etc. And previously, I have still main Morgana, but I'm kind of thinking about switching to maining Nami because recently she was free this week and I've been really impressed with her. Now, what I really like about Nami is that she has a variety of abilities. She has a stun, a heal, a buff, and a slow, with 3 of the 4 abilities actually able to do lots of damage if you build AP with her, which I think you are supposed to in a lot of builds that I saw. Obviously, you can get the normal support items, but Nami does have the capability to do a lot of damage, and that's really why I'm liking her right now. She has everything kind of in her toolkit. The only cost to having such a variety of abilities is that she tends to be very mana hungry. Being you use these abilities for different scenarios, you tend to use them often, and that leaves you with very little mana, but this can be negated with Athene's Unholy Grail, which is pretty much the first item I get besides my talisman or whatever gold income item, and maybe a sight stone. But I definitely try to get an early chalice just to kind of offset those mana costs. Now, I just want to kind of go over her abilities here and why I like them. So, obviously, the most important aspect about her is her stun, I would argue. She does have a 1.25 second stun that also is AoE, which is a good thing, but that does make it harder to land. You have to time it right with the little circle that you have, and 1.25 seconds is a decent length. It's not as good as like Morgana's root at full level, which actually is about 2.75 seconds, which is like day lengths if you are the one being trapped in that stun. But the thing about Nami's stun is that it is a stun versus something like Morgana's root, where the enemies can still cast abilities. Nami's is a complete stun, and obviously it would be pretty overpowered if it was as long as Morgana's. But I think it is also kind of offset, like that kind of con factor is offset by the fact that it's AoE, meaning that you can actually stun more than one enemy, which I've done to a few teams hiding in death bushes, which can really, really determine how a team fight goes. Now, her heal I am a huge fan of as well. Typically, I like to alternate between her Q and her W, which is her stun and her heal. The heal is pretty decent. It adds so much sustainability in lane that actually can compete with somebody like Soraka or Sona, because Nami has the heals of Soraka coupled with her stun, which is similar to Morgana, so it's kind of like a cross, like a hybrid of Soraka and Morgana, which I do main Morgana, so I'm a huge fan of her, so I'll just keep referencing her throughout this video, but she's like a better version of both of those champs, which is awesome. And the fact that it can even keep up with Soraka, who is almost only heals, is just amazing. So if you level up that W early, you can definitely have super sustainability, even if it does cost a lot of mana. But once again, you have to be careful, buy mana, regen items, and make sure you maybe don't spam your heal. That is always some good advice as well. And then her E, which is her attack damage buff. I'm not sure if it gives extra magic damage, but I do know that it gives attack damage for sure. To me, it's okay. A lot of builds that I saw had Nami maxing out her E first, which I think that's more for higher level players, because I can see the potential it could have if you combo it with a very good ADC who will like see opportunities to get damage on the enemy. But a lot of the time, my AD carry that I'm actually using it on won't recognize that they have all of this extra damage now, and they're just going to do nothing with it, and it only lasts for something like 3 seconds anyway, so I'm not a fan of it. I prefer to max out my Q and W first, and basically don't use my E at all, but my E can, or the E can be well, basically can determine trades. If you have two ADCs fighting and one ADC has that buff from Nami, they will probably win that fight. So it can determine some fights, but you know, if you max out your E, you're really losing that heal and stun opportunity that you could be having otherwise. So really depends on the skill level of the player playing Nami, I suppose, as to whether her E is pretty good. And finally, we move on to Nami's ult, which is very good in my opinion. Basically, well, it's for support. It's very good because it has awesome range. The wave that you actually spawn is pretty slow moving, but I think it does make up for that fact with its range. The wave does have a nice little toss up. It's maybe half of a second, where I don't know if the enemies can actually use abilities. I would think it's a stun, just like a very, very short stun. But at the end of the wave, like once you're caught in the wave, it actually does slow enemies, and I believe if you use it on teammates, they have a speed buff as well. So it's just a very good ult for support, pretty utility, but does have the capability to do damage against the enemies as well. It does about the damage of like 1.5 every Qs, assuming everything is maxed out. But I think it's a very good ult, in my opinion, better than Morgana's ult, for example, which is actually very, very short range. Even if it does have a stun at the end, it's really hard to fully execute Morgana's ult because people usually do exit the ring that you spawn. So yeah, Nami's ult is amazing. And that's pretty much what I love about her, just going over her abilities. That is really what is important about Nami, is that she has that variety of abilities to deal with all situations in lane, and sort of an extra pro that you might consider important. I don't know if certain people would consider this important, but for those of you who like to mess around in League, her Control 4, which I believe is her laugh, can actually be spammed for great amusement. You just kind of jump up in the air a bunch of times, and it's really annoying if you want to taunt somebody or make fun of your AD carry for doing something or something like that. It is pretty noticeable, but anyway, I guess that's what I have to say about Nami today. Just been really enjoying her. I'm probably going to buy her after the free week is done, along with her skin. And that's pretty much it. I do regret, though, that she sounds like a 6-year-old, because it just sounds weird coming from a fish mermaid thing. I think she should sound at least a little bit older, but that is pretty negligent, being I have voice turned off anyway, and the only time I ever really hear her is when I select her in the champ select. But anyway, that is kind of not important. But anyway, that will pretty much wrap up this video, guys. Been really enjoying Nami lately, and that's pretty much it. So I'll see you guys later.